Is this here the ultimate German Autobahn machine? We're going to find out with the updated Porsche Panamera GTS. GTS at Porsche always stands for a very sporty model inside the model portfolio, not in the sense of quickest in the acceleration figure or highest horsepower, but really sportiest from this pure driving feeling. We're going to find out if that's still true here with the new Panamera in the GTS spec. I'm Thomas, this is Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Carmine red is the color for today, very fitting always to the GTS lineup. And this Panamera update has a more horizontal focus in the design. There has been a discussion of, is it all new, is it new, is it facelift? There have been hardware changes indeed, both exterior and also on the interior, but let's say the raw chassis remained the same. And we can go through some of the updates, for example, also the lights, matrix LED or optional HD matrix LED. It's even an option here for the GTS. You can see it right here. And you can see that the hood is a little bit differently pronounced now in this iteration or this update. The length at 5 meters and 5 or 199 inches. 19 to 21 inch wheels for the Panamera. The 21 inch wheels are standard here already for the GTS. In this case then here with the black trim, but yeah, of course, you could also pick a Panamera without black wheels, depending on how you like it. For the GTS, it's always been this scheme that you have a lot of red and black accentuations. That is what the GTS is basically made of, so to speak. You can also get the rear axis steering. It's also equipped with this very vehicle. It's also an option even for the GTS. So the rear wheels then turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels for a more narrow turning circle. Adaptive air suspension is standard for all the Panamera models, and here in the GTS it's 10 millimeters lower and has a stiffer, sportier setup. The light strip goes all the way through, left to right. By the way, if sometimes on the camera it looks a little bit segmented, that's just on the camera it really goes like really smoothly all the way through. And you might have already discovered it if you know the other Panamera models. Recently we had the V6 plug-in hybrid, and that one has the smaller retractable wing that goes up like this. This one here already has this massive wing which is split from the turbo, and this one then goes also a little bit outside and inside again. This is a very spectacular thing. And also standard for the GTS is the sports exhaust, and there you can see this is the real deal. 1, 2, 3, 4 real exhaust tips. No Autogefühl fake exhaust police needed right here. And of course, one of the most important aspects here about the GTS is the engine. And for the normal Panamera you have a 6-cylinder V6, that one is also available with a plug-in hybrid drivetrain. And then here we have the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo, in this case with 500 horsepower. In the turbo it would also then be the plug-in hybrid, but here this one is the pure 4-liter V8. So no hybridization then here. 500 horsepower and 3.8 seconds is the acceleration figure in the EU, or 3.6 seconds for the miles per hour figure. And here you can also see this black dome strut here for a little bit more stabilization than for the chassis in the very front. So hydraulic struts here, of course. And I'm really already looking forward to drive this one very soon, but let's take a look at the interior. This is a typical nice Porsche key fob. Then door closing. Either you have here the option of soft close, but also if you hammer the door, sounds really nice. Both front and the rear. Then inside of the doors, GTS means a lot of microfiber or race text as they call it at Porsche. Red contrast stitches right here. Also here some covers, the inside of the doors and so on. Then a huge Panamera GTS entry badge with carbon fiber. That looks cool. Then the race text steering wheel and real buttons also at the steering wheel. That's nice to have, even here for the voice control, and of course to switch the driving modes easily. And also race text seats. They now use this pattern here. It feels differently, looks differently a little bit. Some say it's small Mercedes does. There's also this Papita fabric seat available if you would like to get that one. This is also in the completely animal-free interior. This one is not completely animal-free, however majorly covered with race text. And they are, let's say, the second most comfortable, the fabric seats. Yeah, you can argue about this retro pattern from the looks, but it's more comfortable actually to sit on. And I would like to know from you, if you are from the Northern American market, have a base Panamera with the leatherette seat. I haven't seen one, couldn't test one. If you have tested it, seen it, own it yourself, please give me a feedback about the quality. Would be really looking forward to that. It is a racy seating position, definitely. It's maybe not the most comfortable vehicle overall. As I said, with the fabric seat, I had more comfort, but it definitely tells you it's still a sports car, although it's a luxury sedan. That's what the Panamera is about. And 1.89 meters, 6'2". Still some headroom left here. Cockpit overview, now more digitalized, screens, 1, 2, 3. Even here, and if you have this straight angle, then you also see something from a passenger screen. That's an option though, and yeah, for me it's not really necessary. Is it for you? 구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정 부탁해요. Everything with a horizontal stress, red contour stitching here in the GTS. It's an interesting integration here of the glove box, isn't it? Huge middle console. And that is here something to criticize because we have a lot of high gloss black, what no one asked for actually, and you already see a lot of like scratches are already visible here in this black area. So this is not this super premium atmosphere, and also this opening mechanism is not my favorite one. Now cooled smartphone inductive charger, 2 USB-C chargers as well, adaptive cup holders. There's a nice wide middle console here for the armrest. Some more space underneath for storing some stuff, and pretty cool, one of my favorite features, still an analog interface here with the volume control. Also here the climate unit and so on. That's easy to control then, and also it feels nice. You get a nice sound feedback. I really love that. That's pretty cool. And also the steering wheel has just the right size. Then shifting pedals to have that sportier interface. That's pretty cool. Driver POV. Here my favorite is that we can really switch through the drive modes from the steering wheel directly. So that's a really easiest thing to do while driving. You can switch through different views right here, whatever you want to have. And the head-up display is actually also adjustable, even like some RPM view in there. It's visible all the time, by the way, for you realize. Not to forget the stopwatch, the top part, sports chrono pack, and the infotainment system. Here's the most interesting part, vehicle concerned, because here you can also, for example, extend the rear spoiler and so on. Other than that, you would rather go here for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration, wired or wireless. I have to say though that the infotainment system itself, it has also this nice overview here, but it's really not the quickest one. So it should be quicker, should be faster for such a more expensive vehicle. Rear seats, looks like nice quality here also from door handle, microfiber cover, also with the red contrast stitches. Then we also have the microfiber seats here with this special new pattern on the rear seats. And to fold them, by the way, here you have to grab at the head restraint and then you can fold them down actually. But here you can see that it hardly fits when you normally sit in the front, so you always have to operate with the front seats and back again, because these head restraints here, they are like sport seats in the front with the integrated head restraint actually. You can fold down this here, it's like some space under the armrest. And interesting also in this lower part, you can fold out cup holders like that. Then two USB-C chargers here, and seat heating with capacitive control. Yeah, hashtag capacitive BS. You can also control this shade here, this split shade just for the rear from this lower console in the rear. So this is the rear command. There's also one in the front. This one cannot be opened, just the front part. And then what space do we have? So it works for 4 tall adults. There's also here, there we go. So some legroom left. It's of course not much considering the length of the vehicle, I have to say that. And also here with 189, 602, does fit with the headroom barely, but just still works. It's not the best user of space, not the most executive luxury sedan rear seating position. That's not like the main purpose of this vehicle, it's more the driver focus, but it works space-wise. You could also get one with a through bench, by the way. Trunk or boot at 480 liters if you have a subwoofer, which is also the case right here. And then it's still quite flexible, this wide entry. Then you have a large step. This just, you know, really not that wide here. Maybe it's like 90 centimeters or 35 inches, but then wider here in this area. And the normal length of the trunk is about 1.05 meters or 42 inches. So it's still well usable, definitely. Here underneath there's also even more space. Look at that. And then here there's a 1/3, 2/3 split. So to fold that, however, you have to go around. So I already did that 1/2. And I have to go around here. And then to fold it actually is a little bit complicated, because then you have to put the front seat all the way forward, fold it and back again, so there's not so much space then. Total length, however, 180 or 70 inches, and this top part here, this is also something you can remove like this. Well, then theoretically, when you have long arms, you could also reach over them to fold that thing. And I have to issue a warning, a safety warning indeed, because you should deactivate the feature of the foot kick mechanism to open or close the trunk lid right here, because it happened to me like 5 or 6 times now, not only me, also to others, that when you stand here, and sometimes when you reach something, you have to lean over quite a lot, and then you stand here, and it happens quite often that then the sensor here gets like something, and then you stand here, and the lid closes on your head. So yeah, at the moment it's not happened, but as I said, it happened to me like 5 times already, and yeah, the hatch here already killed myself. So I mean, it does have this safety mechanism though, so that is okay, but still, when your head is between that, it's not a pleasant experience. So I would actually deactivate that feature then in the front infotainment. So before we drive it right now, one more thing about the suspension. Adaptive air suspension standard, yes, and a little bit stiffer setup with the GTS, yes. However, you might have also heard from the other reviews about the Porsche Active Ride, the 8,000 euros or dollars extra system with hydraulic individual ruling of the wheels. This is only available if you have a plug-in hybrid model, because you know you need high voltage for that to operate that. So it's not available here for the pure 4-liter V8 biturbo in the GTS. But the question is, since we had other Porsche Panameras with that new system, do you need that? Is it good? Is it maybe worse? How will it react in the driving? So we'll drive it, and then later on I'll tell you what I think about when we don't have that system. Oh, even slightly uphill. They have to be underestimating this, or like to say in this case overestimating this acceleration figure, because when it says like acceleration is at 3.8 seconds or 3.6 seconds for the 60 miles per hour figure, that must definitely be quicker, must be quicker. And wow, so that was this raw power from this 4-liter V8, 500 horsepower here in the GTS version. And I mean, here it's not mixed with the plug-in hybrid drivetrain. We've been driving the plug-in hybrid before, and I mean, when you're on the motorway, you don't really feel that weight difference, and when the battery is full, the plug-in hybrid drivetrains also give you great performance. The biggest difference is here, you always have the same performance, so it doesn't depend on the battery level, and when you are in tighter corners sometimes or something like that, then also it's of course better when you have less weight. But on the motorway, it doesn't have the biggest effect. But the great thing here is, of course, it is such an Autobahn driving machine. So here in the Sport or Sport Plus mode, chassis is being lowered a little bit even more. The adaptive suspension is getting stiffer and giving me more contact to that road. Yeah, and it feels so connected to the road, even though it's slightly wet here today. I mean, this tarmac here is kind of rough, so it sounds really loud, but at the same time it's better than for like this rain performance. I have to say, like from the noise insulation, yes, I said it's a rough tarmac, but it's not the most quiet vehicle. Also, the GTS versions are usually more with this, weight reduction and so on. So they have some less dampening measures, for example. Yeah, but still, I mean, wow. I mean, you always have the power available, and the steering is really, really great. You have fine reactions to the steering, no dead zone area. And also when you do some lane changes, for example here, it's a heavy and big vehicle, but you don't really feel that. So essentially, it feels like a 911 here on the Autobahn. Of course, a 911 you will feel the difference then when you get to a tighter race track or something like that. But wow, that's really awesome. Such an Autobahn driving machine, and I have to say, although they have large wheels mounted and the air suspension is tuned on a stiffer note, it's not uncomfortable from a suspension, and that can easily happen, of course, that suspension just gets really, really uncomfortable, but here it's actually really fine. And yes, the only thing I really have to say, the noise level is quite high, but other than that, you don't really feel the speed. So from the feeling that car gives you, how calm it is on the road. So at the moment here, you see we're driving 170 kilometers an hour, so like, I don't know, like 100 miles per hour, and oh, there's also Porsche-owned Cayenne plug-in hybrid, probably a test vehicle as well. I mean, it really feels like nothing. I feel like I'm driving like 100 kilometers, 60 miles per hour, something like that, and that's it, you know. But it doesn't feel like I would be driving really quickly or something like that, you know. So, and even if you are already at speed, like here at 160, and then you push it through, it's just keep on coming and coming and coming and coming. There we go. 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, and it feels literally like nothing. Also, wow, the braking performance. So here, of course, the most important things when you drive these high speeds, always keep a lot of distance to the cars in front of you and always watch it really carefully. But these brakes are performing extremely well. I also have a very fine feeling for it, and it does not lean at all here when I'm switching the lanes. There we go. It does not shake like one bit. So this really gives you a very safe feeling and can just underpin it once again. Here, when the Autobahn driving behavior, there is no sedan at that size that would be capable of doing that and giving you that special feeling. Yeah, the Panamera is seriously a driving machine, and this is also once again the reason for that the Panamera is probably, it's actually my favorite Porsche overall. From the last Panamera we've been driving, that one had the Papita fabric seats. I have to say these are the most comfortable ones indeed. These here are number 2. These are the microfiber seats then, here in the GTS, typical microfiber spec. I think the Papita fabric seat has a little bit more like dampening cushion, Einsitzhöhe, like the first depth of the seating area. And then they would come here because the microfiber seat is like a little bit stiffer, maybe like that, slight difference. But still, they are also still more comfortable than all the other animal skin choices. Here, once again, really finely tuned that steering wheel. So you see, I have to, just like small commands, and I love that you don't have to overdo things, and the car always does exactly what I expect from the car. That's the main thing. Let's also go here to the normal driving mode and see. The suspension is a little bit more forgiving. But I have to say, even though I was in the Sport Plus mode, it didn't feel too bad actually. So suspension-wise is really good. Of course, wheel-wise, you can always tune it a little bit depending on which wheel size you go for, if you want more comfort or more sportiness. And even here in the normal mode, when I hit the throttle, there we go. So we still have that great acceleration. So you don't necessarily need to drive in the Sport or Sport Plus mode. It gives you more performance, yes, but the normal mode will also do just fine. And we are just cutting our way through the Autobahn here in a very flawless way. Wow, what a control over that vehicle. Also great to have once again the microfiber steering wheel. I love that. Great grip, no sweaty fingers or something like that. And to me, also as for durability, I personally have just good experience with it. So I would always take that one here, just for the pure feeling of it. It feels nice both in summer and winter actually. Yeah, this is definitely the Autobahn machine. And some city driving, a little bit calmer, a little bit slower. And just when you slightly accelerate, you have this growling sound then still from the V8, even in the normal mode a little bit. Not when you're rolling necessarily, of course, but the normal mode actually does very well also in the normal driving experience. And the suspension is always sporty enough, definitely. We have the 21-inch wheels mounted here as standard for the GTS, as we've shown you on the exterior. Here, always such a nice feeling in every roundabout, especially getting out. Perfect tune from the steering, and then nicely with low RPM out of the corner. That's what I also appreciate if you have like the high displacement and so on, that you don't always need to access all the power and just can do it really calmly. Also on the motorway, I did some tests of the assistance systems, and they are really nicely refined. The lane keeping assist is not a very intrusive one, I have to say, so it's rather drawn a little bit back. I think it's also the right decision for this vehicle, so it doesn't annoy you too much. Here on the countryside, it does not really work. Countryside road, you have to do it actually on the Autobahn. And the blind spot monitor integration is also pretty cool in the side mirror, so definitely always something you should have. So it is also a relaxing ride in the city, in the normal definitely. Yeah, and at the same time, of course, you can always open Hell's Gate. So base Panameras started about 100,000 euros or dollars. Then if you go for the GTS version, here in Germany, 165,000 euros, US 154,000 euros. Yeah, it's already quite hefty. And then when you spec it, as it stands here right now, this one is at 187,000 euros. So yeah, that GTS version here with the four-liter is really price intensive. And I have to say, this is indeed an ultimate Autobahn driving machine. And one of the questions initially was also, how about this missing Porsche Active Ride, this 8,000 euros extra suspension system? You do not need it at all. I feel the car feels more natural and better to drive without it, so I think you can save the money. It wouldn't be available for this one here anyway, as I said. Yeah, but just for the plug-in hybrid ones, but I think it's not really necessary. It's a very impressive technology, but the air suspension is just fine as it is here right now, so I would say go for the adaptive air suspension, which is standard, and that's it.